police force. It was never intended to be. When troops or military equipment appear on American streets, that is not law and order. That is a warning. History does not debate this. When government turned military power inward, it is never to protect democracy. It is to control the population. And this is where Oklahoma politicians need to understand something very clearly. This state is not powerless. This legislature is not helpless. And silence is not neutrality. It is consent. State exists to restrain federal overreach. If Oklahoma leaders choose cooperation over conscience, if they choose convenience over constitutional duty, they are not following the law. They are abandoning it. So let me put this on the record today. In this building, on opening day, Oklahoma politicians are on notice. I notice that the people are watching. I notice that veterans are watching. I notice that survivors are watching. I notice that history is watching. You will be remembered, not for what you said, but for what you allowed. You do not get to campaign on freedom while enabling fear. You do not get to praise veterans while using our service to justify force against civilians. And you do not get to hide behind process when courage is required. I am still standing because someone once refused to let power silence truth. I am still sober because I choose every day to believe my voice matters. And I'm still here because I refuse to accept that authority gets to decide who is disposable. That belief is the foundation of democracy. Democracy does not die all at once. It erodes when leaders stop being afraid of the people and the people stop demanding better. Today is not one of those days. Today, Oklahoma chooses. Will this state be a guardrail or a green light? Will it defend constitutional limits or assist their erosion? Because when the line is crossed, history will not ask how complicated it was. It will ask, who stood up? So let Oklahoma say this clearly. We do not consent to unconstitutional federal enforcement. We do not support military force against civilians. We do not abandon our responsibility as a sovereign state. And if that makes anyone uncomfortable, fucking good. Discomfort is the beginning of accountability. If you're with me, say it aloud enough to reach every office in this building. Whose state? Our state. Whose rights? Our rights. Whose constitution? Our constitution. Not on our watch, not in our name, and not in Oklahoma. Thank you.
Straight towards the dare. And I do want to talk about the power of our voice. We have seen much evidence recently of the power of the people when they are united in resistance. The most visible comes from Minnesota, where brave people have united and taken to the streets in defense of their neighbors and in defiance of the brutal and unconstitutional actions of ICE. While it's far justice deserve. Their strength and persistence has resulted in a change in demeanor from the Trump administration, and more importantly, the evidence of development of an embryonic spine in the Congresspeople. Is it enough? No. Would we have seen even these small changes if the resistance had not been visible and vocal? No. So while it's not a complete win, it's movement in the right direction, something we don't often see. And it's because of the voice of the people. Here in Oklahoma City, we saw amazing mobilization after hearing of plans to convert a warehouse into an ICE detention center. The loud voice of the people rattled city leadership, resulting in their position changing from, "We can't do anything about it," to, "We asked the owners of the building not to sell to Homeland Security." We did that! We did that! That would not have happened if the resistance had not been visible and vocal. Are we going to stop watching and mobilizing? No! Why not? Because we are the ones who will make the difference. We have learned we need to rely on ourselves. The majority of our elected leaders would prefer to ignore the desires of their constituents. But we will continue to raise our voices, and we will be heard. When it comes to the Oklahoma legislature, we need to similarly turn up the volume. Currently, legislators are more likely to hear from corporate and special interest lobbyists than their constituents. This must end. We need to step up and rattle them like we rattled Mayor Holt. Here's the plan. Visit the tables of the collaborating organizations. They're around the periphery of the circle there. Most have tools you need to compose a brief message to your legislator that you can hand deliver today. Blank paper, envelopes, pens, a sample letter for you to look at and get ideas about what you can say. Help looking up your legislator. Help finding a bill that appeals to you to speak about if you feel up to that. But at the very least, write a note. Introduce yourself. Say, "Hello, my name is. I stepped by your office today to meet you. I am your constituent, and I look forward to communicating with you this session." Go in the building. We'll help you. Drop it off at your legislator's office, and be very sure to introduce yourself to the legislative assistant and thank them. They are your gatekeeper. They know what's going on, and every single one who is in that position that I have met has been helpful. Showing up today is just a start. We are not going to stop until the session is over. Stay informed. Join and follow the groups here today. Sign up for their email newsletters. We will let you know when something important is about to happen. When you get a request to take action, do so quickly. We only get 48 hours notice before there's going to be a vote. Sometimes we don't know until the night before. That's not by accident. So watch your alerts, watch your emails, be ready, have the knowledge in hand. Knowledge is power, and your voice is the tool to use that power. Now there's a few bills we want to bring to your attention. Senate Bill 1879 would take away our ability to use an absentee ballot to vote unless we have, air quotes here, qualifying justification. Currently, we have the right to request an absentee ballot without having to justify our request, and that's the way it should stay. It is none of the government's business why we want an absentee ballot. Senator Lisa Standridge and her cohorts want to change that. Senator Standridge represents much of Cleveland County. Are you in her district? If so, be sure she knows that you do not want your ability to request an absentee ballot restricted. Ask her, what evidence does she have that absentee ballots are more likely to be fraudulent? The only correct answer is none. There is no evidence of that. This is an effort to quiet our voice, to make it more difficult to vote, and we have got to fight that at every turn. If you're not in Senator Standridge's district, ask your senator to advocate for you. That's their job. Ask them to speak to the members of the committee that will consider this bill. It will probably be the Judiciary Committee, chaired by Brent Howard, who represents the Altus area. Is he your senator? If so, stop by the Indivisible Oklahoma table. We got some work for you to do, and we need your help. In fact, everybody know what committees your legislators are on, and if they happen to be the chair of the committee, get with Indivisible Oklahoma and the Capital Action Project. You are important in this fight. We need you. A couple more bills. House Bill 4422 and 4423 would require state agencies to use a federal database to check immigration status as part of the application process for public benefits like Sooner Care, SNAP, WIC, and TANF. This includes checking the status of parents, even if the only recipient is a child, possibly an American citizen child. If legal status cannot be verified, the state will be notifying ICE. This is not going after the worst of the worst. This is not going after criminals. This is going after the poor and the hungry. These bills target people who are much more likely to be hard-working taxpayers than criminals. You need evidence of that? Google it. People who do not have legal status still pay taxes. You don't have to have a Social Security number. You can use a taxpayer ID number. These bills, House Bill 4422 and 4423, are offered by Kyle Hilbert, Speaker of the House, part of the Republican leadership. That means that they will likely move quickly towards passage. Everyone needs to contact their representative today and ask them to speak to Representative Hilbert on your behalf. That's their job. Remind them that Governor Stitt recently said on television that he wants to prioritize pathways for non-U.S. citizens in Oklahoma to legally work and contribute to the economy. Tell them these bills are racist and inhumane. Tell them the Oklahoma standard is not just for tornadoes. We feed people who are hungry. We help them get medical care. Head over to the table. Use the examples provided and what you just learned to write a note to your legislators. You didn't hear a bill that speaks to you? Are you interested in reproductive rights? We got a bill for you. Are you interested in criminal justice reform? We can find a bill for you. Are you interested in protecting the environment? We'll find a bill for you. There is a bill for everybody. There's enough crappy bills to go around. Stop by the Indivisible Oklahoma table or any of the other tables. Ask someone to look up a bill for you. And if you're comfortable doing so, write some notes why you oppose that bill. But even if that's outside what you feel like you could do today, at least introduce yourself. Get over that first hump of getting in the building. It's your house. Go in your house today. If you want someone to go with you, we're going to do that. We have volunteers to help you. The last speaker will give you more instruction on how to do that. So thank you for being here and thank you for stepping up.
All right, everybody, let me go over a couple of things before Representative Ellen Pogmiller comes up. So I just want to point out to you, and I'm kind of stealing this from somebody else. So I heard it before. You know, my immigrant neighbor didn't cut people's Medicaid. And my immigrant neighbor didn't cut people's food stamps. They were actually cutting their yards and doing their roofs and everything else. And are we going to start to care once we have a big enough tornado that we don't have anybody to do the work? So on that one, I'll bring up Representative Ellen Pogmiller.
Thank you all for being here. I wasn't planning to speak, so this is very last minute, but first off, thank you so much for showing up. That's it. We have to continue to show up in spaces where people aren't expecting us. When we don't show up, people take apathy as if we don't care. And I know so many of us care. We're talking to our neighbors every day, but we have to at some point provide an opportunity for people to feel comfortable showing up, because many of our neighbors right now don't feel comfortable showing up. So you might not be showing up because something impacts you, but something is impacting someone that you care desperately about. And when we don't show up, those people get left behind. And what I can say in Oklahoma is, in this building every day we talk about wanting to be top 10, and every single time we are bottom 10 in all of the right metrics that support our neighbors. Education, healthcare, mental health, we are leaving people behind. We aren't supporting those that need it most. And what we talk about instead is how can we provide tax cuts to individuals who don't need it. And those tax cuts come at the loss of services that our neighbors need. And then people are frustrated because not enough people are showing up. Well, I'm sorry, people are hurting. People are trying to just get by. And so apathy is not what I see, but I do see people who feel overwhelmed. And so for some of us who may not feel overwhelmed every day because of the state that we've created for you, show up and bring somebody with you. We can't, I mean, that's, when people say, we're 50th in voting, then you get this in this building. 2026 is going to be a humongous year. And we can't do it without you. And so I know so many of my colleagues are ready to, stand up to fight, to do the right thing, to stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves. But it does help when you reach out to us, when you encourage us, when you say, fight this fight because we can't do it alone. We want to represent you. So if your story is a story that we need to hear, tell it to us. If it's something that we need to share on the House floor of why this legislation will disproportionately impact someone from our community, tell us your story. We can't do it without you. So I am so grateful. This is the beginning of session, day one. It's going to be a long haul, so don't burn out today. Like we have until May. So if your neighbor didn't show up today, if you can't show up tomorrow, that's okay. But don't give up. Every day we need you. We need your neighbor. We need your spouse, your best friend We need you. So don't get discouraged. Know that your voice matters. Know that you being here empowers us, knowing that we are carrying the weight of the work that needs to be done, and we can't change it if people don't hear from those that are outside of their circle. So show up, be positive, but also know that your story matters and that, everyone wants to do what's right. So we got to show them that apathy is not, acceptable. Apathy is not acceptable. Their laws impact people every day, And so people show up and they pass laws that feel like, oh, no one cares. And then in November, we're like, oh, we've lost all of these services. So we do care. So, and reach out to legislators too if you want help or ideas or ways that you can engage, because we want to help you be better, successful, and better advocates for the organization and work you care about. So thank you.
Folks, I do want to say before Ellen leaves, she is at every big, small, and medium event that I go to. And I go to a whole bunch of stuff, and you want to see who's showing up, because that's who your friend is, and that's who's going to support you. Okay, let me, folks, I want to introduce you to Keely from Building Community, and we'll get her started real quick.
Hi, everybody. So, to those that show up to these events often, I may look a little bit familiar. My name's Keely. I'm with Oklahoma City Mutual Aid. We're back there at that table. Mari's waving if you guys want to stop by. But I wanted to talk more about building community today. If you've heard me talk before, you know that I value community over all else. I started this group in hopes to provide relief to communities that are suffering. We all know that sometimes a little relief can go a long way when we are struggling. And I'm proud of anybody that has ever volunteered their time, their goods to my group. That is amazing, and I'm so proud of y'all. If you keep up with us, you know that we do unhoused outreach every single Sunday, functioning out of my little studio apartment. We've set up networking to be able to grab foods from volunteers and make care packages for families struggling to buy groceries. We work with Organizing Okies and Elisa on one of those greenhouses. We do community cleanups and steward with the free library and so much more. To everybody here, whenever you think of your community, what do you think of? Community is the only way we will get through these odd times. We cannot do it alone as individuals. Even if you don't want to volunteer your time with my group, volunteer with a little bit of time every group until you find one that is perfect for you, or start your own. Interact with some of these groups on social media, and remember that a little does go a long way. If you're unable to volunteer time, if you're unable to volunteer goods, just giving us a follow on social media helps extremely. A little bit truly does go a long way. Remember what a little bit of relief can feel like when you're constantly fighting for your life. We've seen injustice time after time again, whether it was Renee Good, Kilmer, Borrego Garcia, or our neighbors and family. We cannot keep turning a blind eye to injustice. Injustice for one person is injustice to everyone. Be loud, be opinionated, and be passionate. Everybody's here and making an extreme difference just showing up today, and I'm extremely proud of all of you. Thank you, guys.
All right, everybody. Now, we do have elected officials that are going to be coming through, and we're just going to slide them in. They may not be on your agenda, but we want to do that while they've got the opportunity. Senator Julia Curd, who is on TV more than anybody I know these days.
Good morning. So did you know that nothing's been decided yet today? This is good. So I think, a lot of times I think our Republican leadership wants you to think that everything's already decided and that it's already pre-baked and that you can't make a difference. But today is day one. Not a single bill has passed yet, right? So your voice absolutely matters. So if I say that this is the people's house, do you all know what I mean? Yeah, you paid for this place. Whose house is this? Whose house is it? Okay. Don't forget that. When you walk inside, there's stuffy walls. There's, nice art. I personally really love the architecture. but that is only meant to show that it's a special place. That doesn't mean it's not for you. It is your place. We are there to work for you, and if we're not, you should be telling us to get back to it, right? Just so you know, thousands of bills have been filed. Thousands. And we know many of those solve no problems that we want solved in this building. We want to see this building solving real issues in your daily life. We want people put first over politics. And we want corporate interests to stand down and let the people come first. Your voice absolutely matters for that. You have to remind this vortex of special interests that you're here, and don't let us forget it. Again and again, we want to see your face, we want to hear your voice, we want to know that you're watching, and that does matter. So thank you for being here today, thank you for showing up, and don't stop.
Okay, everybody move in just a little bit so we can be like Buffalo and the warmer can be in the middle and we can move to the inside and the outside and everything else. It does make for a great photograph, close where you are. Okay, my favorite speaker and my favorite preacher in Oklahoma is Lori Walkie, and I know I'm not supposed to have that big of a preference, but I do. So, Reverend Lori Walkie.
Good morning, friends. Later today, the governor of Oklahoma will deliver the state of the state, and he will tell us all sorts of things about ourselves. He will tell us that we have the biggest savings account. He will tell us that we are leading the nation in religious education choice. He will tell us that we are a state that protects women. He will tell us that we are a pro-life state. Governor Stitt will tell us plenty today, while at the same time saying nothing at all. He will tell us who we are, but he will not say the quiet part out loud. He will omit, leave out, and neglect to include vital information. He will hope that we will not believe the evidence of our eyes and ears, evidence that we have the 6th highest poverty rank in the nation, evidence that we are dead last in educational outcomes, evidence that we rank 45th in the nation in women's equality, evidence that we have the highest per capita rate of executions in the state. There are legislators in this building, too, who want to tell us who we are. They do this by the bills they propose, bills that tell us that we are the kind of people who will let our neighbors go hungry. Bills that tell us that we are a people without compassion, without kindness, without mercy, without goodness. For example, House Bill 4422 that will allow notification to Immigration and Customs Enforcement of any undocumented individual who applies for SNAP or TANF and WIC. It will also alert ICE if undocumented parents apply for benefits for their child who has citizenship status. Or Senate Bill 1554, which seeks to prohibit non-government organizations, that includes churches and nonprofits, from knowingly or recklessly providing services to people who are undocumented, and declares entities in violation to be ineligible for funds and officers of such organizations liable for criminal fines and penalties. These legislators are telling us that we are people who are going to look the other way, who won't stop to offer help, and who will go along to get along. So this morning we are here to tell them a thing or two. We are here to tell the truth about the ever-widening gap between the haves and the have-nots in our state. We are here to tell the truth about child care costs, health care costs, and the costs of underfunding public education. We are here to tell the truth about corporate greed and corruption and cronyism at the Capitol. We are here to tell the truth about who we are. We, the people of Oklahoma. We, the people of Oklahoma, who want, as is written in the preamble of our state's constitution, to, quote, secure and perpetuate the blessings of liberty, to secure just and rightful government, and to protect our mutual welfare and happiness. But we are not just going to tell them who we are going to show them. We are going to show off. Indeed, we already have. Last week, as you heard earlier at City Hall, we showed off together. We showed them that we will not have an ICE processing and detention center on the agenda. We showed off last week by saying we will not allow fear in our neighborhoods. Last week was just one small example, but it is a big indication of what is to come from our commitment to showing up for one another and showing off for one another, building coalitions and organizing our institutions so that we can secure and perpetuate the blessings of liberty, just and rightful government, and protect our mutual welfare and happiness. So friends, let us show off. Let us show off our compassion, our kindness, our resolve to leave no child behind and to not let families be separated. Let us show off how good we are at mutual care and community care. Let us show off our refusal to be stingy, small-minded, afraid, and mistrustful. Let us prove beyond a shadow of a doubt who we are and who we want to be, offering evidence for their eyes and ears that cannot be denied, no matter what they tell us. Friends, may we find the grace to never sell ourselves short, to risk something big for something good, and the wisdom to know that the world is too small for anything but love. Let us make it so. Amen.
Lori Walking, everybody. Beat that. Okay, next up we have Tyler from Minimum Wage OK. Tyler? I'm going to let Tyler say.
Good morning, Oklahoma City. How are we doing today? Okay. I know it's a little bit cold, but I think we can do better. One more time. Oklahoma City, how are we doing today? That's right. That's Oklahoma, I know. And personally, I am an Okie, born and bred. My family has been here, moved right after the land run, since before Oklahoma was a state. So it's in my bones. Better or worse, richer or poorer, in sickness and in health. And I mention this because the people in that building, they want you to forget something that every Oklahoma child learns. Our motto, labor omnia vincit. Labor conquers all. I say that they want you to forget because despite capture by business-friendly interests, lies about job creators and prioritizing corporations over their constituents, they remember. And the discussion about wages is a great example of this. Before the state question 832 was even appearing on the ballot, our state legislators decided to hold an interim study to talk about the living wage and to kind of talk out of both sides of their mouth about how this would hurt Oklahomans. They say that livable wages would bankrupt businesses, that they could not possibly pay people enough to survive. Well, while at the same time saying, oh, Oklahoma's already making up. It's no big deal. And like Pastor Lori said, I think that it's time for us to open our eyes and look around and see that this is not true. In that interim study, the State Chamber of Commerce, who sued to keep State Question 832 off of the ballot to deny us the right to vote on whether or not wages should be higher, said that a livable wage for a single person with no children in Oklahoma would be just over $21 an hour, which is above the median wage that Oklahomans actually receive. For those of you who haven't brushed up on your statistics in a while, that means that according to the people who do not want you to vote on this, half of Oklahomans do not make enough to make ends meet. They say that this would harm workers by leading to inflation, as though Oklahomans are already being squeezed on both ends, suffering from stagnating wages as everything else increases, as housing goes up, as food goes up. They say that people just need to work harder, that, the people making less than $21 an hour, those are unskilled workers, as though those people aren't vital to making our state run. 10% of those people, working Oklahomans, the ones who day in and day out show up to make sure that we function, are on food stamps. They cannot feed themselves despite working themselves to the bone. And it is a moral failure for our state to say that Oklahomans do not deserve enough in exchange for their time to keep body and soul together. Exactly. Corporate greed. And this has long been the tactic of dividing and suppressing the common people in favor of those interests that are going to line the pockets of our politicians. They tell you that you're naive for caring about the poorest and the most vulnerable, as though the Christ that they love to trot out and pay lip service to didn't command them to love their neighbors themselves. As though he wasn't explicit in stating that as you do to the least of these, so you do also unto me. They frame this impulse to care, to let your heart break for those who are suffering, as a weakness. But this couldn't be further from the truth. It is your greatest strength. The ability to look at someone and say, this is wrong, you should be in a better position, is the most human impulse imaginable. Khalil Gibran writes, your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. Even as the stone of the fruit must break, that its heart may stand in the sun, so must you know pain. And what I hope you come away from today understanding is our state motto: labor conquers all. There are more of us than there are of them. Together, we are stronger than they will ever be. Our world was made, and it can be made differently. We can make a state that works for workers. For my part, the way that I hope we can do this is by passing State Question 832. June 16th of this year, there will be a vote to raise the minimum wage gradually to $15 an hour and then index it to inflation so that the people who make the economy grow benefit from that growth instead of suffering because of it. If we do this, we can realize, as the old Union hymn says, is there aught we have in common with the greedy parasite that would lash us into serfdom and would crush us with his might? Is there anything left to us but to organize and fight? And if we understand that the problem was never about having enough to feed the poor, the problem was that there will never be enough to satisfy the rich. We can reclaim that power. So I want you all to take a moment to feel that amongst yourselves. We're going to do a little bit of chant. When I say wage up, you say okay. I want to hear that Okie energy from the beginning here. Wage up. Okay. Wage up. Okay. Wage up. Okay. Wage up. Okay. Thank you so much, Oklahoma City.
Everybody, we're going to move on to Sooner State Party. It's got a representative here named Reagan Burns. Going to talk about it for a little bit on opening up for another party. Let's go.
Hello, folks. My name is Reagan Burns, and I am the executive director of the Sooner State Party. Now, what the Sooner State Party is a new independent political party that is emerging in Oklahoma right now. What we aim to be is something different, something that has Oklahoma identity and focuses on Oklahoma solutions. In order to be official, we are aiming to get 35,000 signatures. We have 30,000 so far. Now, there's nothing I can say that hasn't already been said, so let's focus on this. Right now, Oklahoma is actually more united than ever before, because we are united on change. And I see that here. You have a bunch of different players with a bunch of different pieces, but going for the same goal. And it takes every single one of us working towards that goal to make that change. Because change is happening. Whether they want it or not, change is happening. And it happens here, and it happens with you. So, for me and my part, I believe in Oklahoma. And I believe in the people of this state. And I believe that we can make a great state that we are all proud of. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Reagan. I really do like the idea of having another party. I've kind of lost in between how I really feel about everything in the long run on that. All right, I've been calling Fernando Nando here for a while, and I just accidentally called a friend, so I'm going to go ahead and bring him up. Then we're going to go.
Good morning, Oklahoma. My name is Fernando Vaquera. I'm with Community Response Network. Before I move forward, I want to give a big shout out to the owners of El Vaso Rojo. El Vaso Rojo is a Hispanic-owned business on the south side of Oklahoma City. And since last year, at every demonstration against ICE and in favor of the undocumented community, they have been present. They always bring snacks, they bring drinks for kids. And so the owners of El Vaso Rojo right here, I encourage you to go check them out. Yes, it's Red Cup. Just Google Translate it and then put it in Google and it'll take you right to where you need to go. Muchas gracias, se les agradece, Dios bendiga. So I'm with Community Response Network. Community Response Network is a nonprofit that launched about a year ago in response to the threats against the undocumented community, and we have seen that they kept and did exactly what they said they were going to do. Just this morning here in Oklahoma City metro area, there was about 5 vehicles pulled over by ICE, all working vehicles, vans and trucks, with individuals heading to work, dads, brothers, cousins, grandpas, not criminals. And so we as Oklahomans, I believe that the majority of us are against this type of terror against a vulnerable community. We know our friends at Oklahoma Highway Patrol have also been engaging in these types of arrests and assisting ICE, state police assisting federal agencies to do these types of arrests. And I want to, educate everybody real quick. Overstaying a visa is a civil violation, okay? A civil violation. Being in the country undocumented is a misdemeanor. So, and the families are being torn apart. They're being deported to countries that they haven't been to in 10, 15, 20 years for civil violations and misdemeanors. And so as Oklahomans, we need to speak up against it. Right now, there is about 59 anti-immigrant bills that are going to be proposed this legislative session. one of the biggest ones that make me really, really uncomfortable is SB 2098, which essentially, if let's say a partner had a baby in Oklahoma City, a couple had a baby in Oklahoma, and they were both undocumented, that baby would then be undocumented as well. And we know that is against the Constitution of the United States. So for a party that claims to love law and order, I believe that goes against the same document that has kept this country running for over 250 years. And the other one is SB 2013. And that essentially would grant every law enforcement again, we know the state troopers are already engaging in this, but local police, county sheriffs, campus police, SROs or school resource officers, and even some security guards that go through special training to have the 287G agreement, which they essentially can arrest somebody based off of their legal status. So if they are undocumented, can you imagine an 18-year-old in high school being arrested in school because they are undocumented? And so that is SB 2013. So I encourage you guys to speak to your representatives, to your senators, and speak to these other elected officials that are trying to pass these anti-immigrant bills in Oklahoma. That is not what we need. We don't need any more ICE facilities in the state of Oklahoma. We don't need any more anti-immigrant bills in the state of Oklahoma. And also, if you get a chance to speak to the governor, encourage him to end Operation Guardian. We do not, like I said, we do not need state police assisting federal agencies. We need Oklahoma Highway Patrol patrolling our highways and keeping us safe from real dangers, not undocumented individuals that are heading to work. Thank you guys. A Community Response Network also does rapid response training. So we teach you what does ICE look like in Oklahoma, how are they operating, how are they moving, so you can help identify them. I'm going to be back at this blue table next to the blue tent. If you want to sign up for a training, we have a virtual one this Wednesday, and we have some in-person ones coming up as well. Thank you, Oklahoma.
Orlando is CRN. I don't know why I said Immigrant Network when it came out. I have seen him at probably 20 different events over the past year when things were just starting out, and then as things got a little bit heavy. So my next person up is Mark Falk, who I've worked with against the Oklahoma County Jail for quite some time. But he really and truly was the one that kind of rooted in and pointed out that the ICE facility was being put on the south side of town, and then kept on it, and there was a whole bunch of people who helped. But he was the guy that got it going. Mark Falk, everybody.
Okay, now that Sean's trying to give me credit for stuff, I'm going to say this. I wore my Bernie shirt today. It says, "Not me, us." And that's what this is about. As an organizer for decades, as an activist for decades, I can tell you there is no activist who ever accomplished anything by himself. There is no organizer who ever came up with a great idea and threw it out in his living room somewhere and accomplished anything. So understand that what happened in Oklahoma City, and first of all, I cannot tell you how proud I am of Oklahoma City for standing up and kicking ICE out of our city. It's brought me to tears a couple of times because it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I'm going to say this. This is our year. And it's about damn time. So I guess what I'm going to just leave you with today is understand that we have to focus and push. The protests are great, but the protests are a jumping off point. This is how we get together, express our dissatisfaction with the fucking status quo, and this is how we tell people that we are here and we are going to fight, and we're going to fight for all of us, not just the rich. Understand that Oklahoma is really just a microcosm of the federal government. So when it turned out that I was able to find out that the broker in Oklahoma City is someone who actually their CEO is the chair of the economic, I think it's called the Economic Development Committee for the Chamber of Commerce. So how is building an ice facility in our city economic development? And unfortunately, I can answer that question because they make money off of it. To them, economic development has no boundaries, it has no moral, it has no ideals, it's just about making money. But so many people contacted the company, Newmark Robinson Park, that they backed down. So many people showed up at city council that they spilled out into the next room. We had 100 people are there more. Over 70 people spoke. That is democracy in action. And so I want everyone to just think about, we've got one in Durant that we don't know if it's killed yet or not. It doesn't seem like it. But guess what? It's the same damn broker from Oklahoma City as the broker for the building in Durant. And that is not acceptable. It is not acceptable. If you want economic development, look at our community. Look at our immigrant community. Look at our Asian district. Look at our Hispanic district. We welcome one of our Democratic governors, Brad Henry, was one of the people who welcomed the immigrants here after the fall of Saigon. I'm old enough that I grew up in that area. I went to Classen. It was all white at one point, and some indigenous. Within a matter of a couple of years, they revived an area that was run down, an area that nobody wanted to live in, and they developed a community that has thrived and that all of us have benefited from. So yesterday, and I'm not going to name the studio because I don't want to get targeted, I was at my daughter's dance studio. She did her program that they do each year at this time. The thing that struck me more than anything was that it is the most diverse studio in Oklahoma City. And you watch somebody and you go, okay, these are traditional Hispanic dances. Oh, this is hip hop. Oh, this is ballet. Oh, this is, and on and on and on. And it's body positive. It's age positive. It's just like a microcosm of what we should be. And all of those people smiled and laughed and congratulated and applauded for each other's kids and had a good time. And you know what that proves? That we can get along if we don't have racists and idiots and bigots on the other side trying to divide us. So I would just say, going forward, I want to keep this short, so I'm going to wrap up with this. Going forward, anytime we see a situation that's an ugly situation, think about the multiple ways. It's another thing I preach, diversity of tactics. The multiple ways. What's the quickest way that we can defeat the enemy? And they are the enemy. They are people who are harming our community. So what's the quickest way we can do it? And do the research. Make sure you got your ideas right. And then go do it. It's not always just trying to beat Trump. Sometimes we have to beat the property owner here. You know, the property owners was from Kansas, and our brokers are from here. Sometimes we have to appeal to them, and if appealing to them doesn't work, then we have to shame them. Now, when they do the right thing, guess what? You get a pat on the back. I don't think it changes that you're still a greedy bigot. I don't think it changes that you're still a corporatist trying to suck every dollar out of not just our economy, but the pockets of the most vulnerable people in Oklahoma and Oklahoma City. This will stop, and it will stop now. And again, I just want to say I was so overwhelmed at the people who showed up for Oklahoma City a week ago. And their powerful words and their compassion and their passion for their fellow human being. It's empowering to see, and I want each of us to take every win, pat yourself on the back for about 30 seconds, and then move on to the next one, and we will do this together. Love you guys. Thank you.
Everybody, Mark Falk, he's very tall. Let me move the mic back up. Okay, next up is something that all of us are interested in, which is getting money out of politics. With Money Out of Politics movement, we've got Joey here to talk to us about it.
Oklahoma. My name is Joey Gray. I'm the founder of the Money Out of Politics movement. I'm also a 21-year combat veteran of Special Operations. Grew up in the Ranger Regiment, and then went to Special Forces and spent about 12 years there. You know, I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about today, but before I say anything else, I want everybody to just kind of take a breath with me for a minute. We live in a loud time, a fast time, a time where outrage travels faster than understanding. So I want us to slow down and talk about something fundamental, something older than politics, something deeper than ideology. I want to talk about dignity. Most people do not wake up wanting to break the system. They wake up wanting to belong in it. They want their work to matter. They want their voices to count. They want to believe that if they show up, play by the rules, and do right by their families and communities, the system will meet them halfway. When that stops being true, consistently and visibly, something dangerous begins to form. Not disagreement, not protest, indignity. Indignity is what happens when people are treated as inputs instead of as humans. When their labor is extracted, but their lives are ignored. When their time is taken, but their voices are dismissed. When they are told to be patient by institutions that never seem to listen. Indignity is being essential, but disposable. Indignity is being told you matter while decisions are made somewhere else. Indignity is knowing the game is rigged and being expected to pretend that it is not. And here's the truth we need to be honest about. Indignity breeds extremism. And we're witnessing it. Not ideology first, not radical belief first, humiliation first. When people lose dignity, they start looking for meaning anywhere they can find it. Some will attach themselves to movements, some to conspiracies, some to rage, some to violence, some to leaders who promise order instead of justice. History is very clear on this point. Extremism does not grow out of abundance. It grows out of neglect. When institutions stop serving people, people stop trusting institutions. And when voices are ignored, volume replaces dialogue. When dignity is denied, destruction can begin to feel justified. This is not a moral failure of the people, it is a structural failure of our leadership. Oklahoma understands dignity. This is a place where people show up for each other long before help arrives. Where neighbors solve problems without waiting for permission. Where resilience is not a slogan, but a survival skill. But even here, people feel it. They feel the disconnect. They feel decisions being made far away. They feel the cost of living rising while accountability all but disappears. They feel talked down to instead of heard. And when that feeling persists long enough, it creates a vacuum. Nature hates a vacuum. So do politics. This is where money and politics enters the picture. Because when money dominates political decision-making, dignity is the first casualty. Policy stops being about people and starts being about access. Representation becomes performative. Participation becomes symbolic. You can vote, you can testify, you can write letters. But when donors get meetings and constituents get talking points, people notice. And when people notice the system responds upward instead of outward, trust collapses. And we're witnessing that in real time. That collapse is the breeding ground for extremism. And I think we all know the movement that we're witnessing come up in this country. And it's not because people are irrational, but because they are responding rationally to an irrational system. So let me be very clear about what I mean by dignity. It's not comfort, it's not agreement, it's not getting everything you want. It is agency. It is the ability to influence decisions that affect your life as an individual. It's being treated as a participant rather than a problem. It is having systems that respond to public pressure, not private money. A dignified society does not eliminate conflict, it gives people control. constructive ways to engage with it. That is the difference between stability and suppression. And that is why organizing matters. Not as a spectacle, not as outrage, but as structure. Organizing restores dignity because it restores agency. And when people work together locally and intentionally, they stop feeling alone. When they see cause and effect, they stop feeling invisible. When pressure leads to movement, they stop searching for extreme answers. This is why the work being done here matters. It's not about ideology, it's about building infrastructure for dignity. So here's the warning I want to leave you with. If dignity is not restored through democratic means, it will be sought through destructive ones. We do not get to choose whether people respond to indignity, because they will. We only get to choose how they respond. History teaches us this lesson again and again. The question is not whether people are frustrated. The question is whether there is a disciplined, ethical, effective outlet for that frustration. That is the work that is in front of all of us. Restoring dignity requires serious commitments. It requires systems that listen before they lecture. It requires accountability that flows upward, not only downward. It requires removing financial incentives that reward corruption and ignore neglect. And it requires sustained civic engagement, not just participation during elections. This work is not glamorous, it is not fast, but it is how societies heal without tearing themselves apart. Before we move forward, I want to recognize the people who made today possible. I want to acknowledge Lisa Standridge, organizing Oak Reef, and every volunteer, organizer, and community member who gave their time, energy, and care to bring this event together, because it doesn't happen by accident. It happens because people decide their neighbors are worth showing up for. It happens because dignity matters. And it happens because silence is no longer acceptable. So let's get up, let's walk into that building together, and let's make sure our collective voice is heard.
Good morning, everybody. Keeping money out of politics. I really and truly, it would be, so I have cousins that are in England, and literally you get an amount of money to spend on your campaign, and the deal is done in less than 60 days, and it shows whether you can manage or not. It isn't just how much you can fundraise, and you can owe all those people favors. So really and truly, it's a great idea, and there are states that are working on doing those rules within their states as we speak. All right, with Red Rock, I've got Ariel to talk next. Here we go.
Thank you for coming out on this chilly day. I would like to tell you all a little bit about Red Rock and the services that we provide as a treatment provider, and how that can impact our communities. So Red Rock, our mission statement is to provide high quality, technology-driven, evidence-based practices so all Oklahomans can achieve better health and wellness. So we are a certified community behavioral health clinic. We are a private nonprofit, and our goal is to offer mental health and substance use services to everyone in our communities. Every one of us have been touched or impacted by someone, either personally in our lives, in our family, our friends, someone we know, with either mental health and or substance use. And none of us are immune, none of us go untouched. Something that Red Rock really likes to focus on, one of our core values, is being a good community servant. So that's why we are out here today. We do have a table in the back on the left. Our job is to be here to support our community. We are in 16 different counties across the state. We have approximately 24 locations, and our job is to support those who need the most support, the most vulnerable in our population, the ones who are not typically served. One thing that Red Rock does once a month is we have a community partner day. I do have some flyers, they're back on our table. We do a community partner day once a month. It's the fourth Monday of every month. Our next partner day is February 23rd. Our goal as a community behavioral health clinic is to bring other agencies and other partners on site to offer an array of services, whether that's a clothing closet, a food pantry, to get with a community organization that looks at justice involvement or warrant clearings. We help with Medicaid enrollment and other benefit enrollment. We're also here to assist with housing services and your integrated services such as physical and your medical, PCP, or other community services. So our goal really is to support our communities. Everyone at Red Rock, we got into the field of mental health and substance use because we believe that people can change. I believe that people deserve to live the best version of themselves, to have the best life that they're able to have. And sometimes we need support to do that. And that's okay. It's not bad to talk about mental health or substance use. I understand the stigma around it for many of the populations that we serve, but I also got into this field because I believe that it works. I believe that people can change. I believe that you are good enough. I believe that our communities are good enough. Our communities deserve better, and I don't think we can do that siloed. I don't think we can do it without one another. I think we all have to be here to support each other. So on behalf of Red Rock and Organizing Okies, thank you for allowing us to come out. As a treatment provider, I do hope that you stop by our table in the back. We have some resources. We have our community partner flyer. And then we have just some items that you're welcome to take. I do hope that everyone today leaves here, that you give yourself grace, you give other people grace, you give the world grace. And I think if we all just show up with grace and kindness, that we can all continue to help in our mental health and substance use journey. Thank you, everyone.
All right, the next up is a person that I see at all different types of events, and so generally she's got a wagon full of snacks. Literally, her name is Snack Mom from the snack shed. And one day I tried to help her downtown do it, and I bet I spilled half of her snacks out on the street, and it was freezing cold, it was miserable. She still has a sense of humor and still talks to me. Snack Mom.
Yeah, so my name is actually Diana. I go by Snack Mom. And I am a mom of 5. I am a national coordinator for 5051. And I am a born and raised Oklahoman. I cannot see a damn thing because I took my actual glasses off to put these sunglasses on, so bear with me. It's about a year ago, for the first time, I set up my table right over there, just bringing snacks for some people. And I didn't know that that one small act of community would help me find my
I saw this thing the other day.
We're not strangers to storms in Oklahoma. Sorry. We know the warning signs. We understand the damaging effects. What we're living through right now in our state and in our country is a devastating storm. It's devastating our communities. But we also know this. Storms don't last long. We, the people of Oklahoma, come together. We organize. We rebuild. We take care of each other. That's community, and that's Oklahoma strong. So today I'm proud to be an Oklahoman. And I'm going to need a little bit of crowd involvement here. I know there's not a lot of you standing right here. If you can move up a little bit, if you can hear me, I'm going to try to sing, and you're going to sing with me. And I have Aisha's going to help me. So if y'all are aware of what's going on in Minneapolis, I came across a group called Singing Resistance. And they have some very powerful chants, so I'm going to try my best to lead you through one today. Aisha's going to help me, because I have a very soft singing voice. So we're going to say a line, I'll point to you, you sing it back, okay? Who keeps us safe? We keep us safe. Our love for our people will conquer hate. Again, okay? Who keeps us safe? We keep us safe. Our love for our people will conquer hate. One more time, try to raise your voices, okay? Who keeps us safe? you, Oklahoma City.
All right, next up we've got a couple of ladies. What we're going to talk about is data centers and essentially the stripping of our energy. And so we've got Shay and Ashley.
Hamadaki Yepi, Wichapi Wetui, Imachi Yapi. Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Lamont. I am an enrolled member of the Absentee Shawnee Tribe of Oklahoma. So I've been here longer than a lot of y'all. I'm also Oglalan Chichangu Lakota, and I am the National Campaigns Director for Honor the Earth, which is an Indigenous-led, 30-year-old Indigenous rights and environmental rights organization. So I'm here today to talk to you about the widespread push for generative AI and the hyperscale data centers needed for this technology. We're seeing this aggressive push across the nation and right here at home. The sudden and falsely generated demand, created largely by technocrats and authoritarian leaders, is putting both rural and tribal communities up as prime targets for these companies' predation, devouring mass amounts of land, water, and energy. In fact, since Trump issued a slew of executive orders in an attempt to advance this industry and technology, we've seen project proposals trying to slide through municipal and tribal governments left and right all across the state. At Honor the Earth, we see this push as data colonialism and techno-colonialism. For Indigenous peoples, this is simply the continuation of extractive industries exploiting Indigenous peoples and lands across the globe. We see this manifest through AI and hyperscale data centers that aid in the technological expansion of empire, including global militarism, surveillance, and the entrenching of the police state. Generative AI contributes to techno-fascism by creating and spreading false narratives intended to perpetuate white supremacy, authoritarianism, misogyny, and false demands to perpetuate capitalism beyond sustainability. Now, originally, I wanted to share the many negative environmental and economic impacts of generative AI and hyperscale data centers on our communities. Now, these mass build-outs require a lot of land. They require millions upon millions of gallons of clean drinking water. They put extreme pressure on our grids, causing utility bills from OG&E and PSO to skyrocket. In fact, a hyperscale data center can consume as much water and energy as an entire town or city. This demand for energy is so great, these data centers often require power plants specifically for them. This is why we're seeing a sudden reemergence of the demand for nuclear energy, and I know our next speaker will share more about that with you. And then jobs. These companies are coming to our tribal nations and our municipalities, NDA in hand, with a false promise of jobs and economic boosts. The truth is, this industry is already showing itself to carry deep financial risks, with incredibly poor return on investments, requiring more and more production each year just to break even. There's also no evidence that these job promises are being fulfilled. In fact, we hear over and over again that permanent jobs are very few, and we see how this technology is actively replacing our labor with mass layoffs at major companies like Amazon. Now, these points are so important, and you can definitely learn more on Honor the Earth's website about how these centers are killing the planet. But with the recent occupation of Minnesota by ICE, Project Guardian being unleashed here in Oklahoma, where tribal members are already being harassed and our relatives from south of the false colonial border are being kidnapped and detained, and with ICE having murdered at least 9 people in 2026 already, I decided to talk to you about how generative AI and hyperscale data centers are helping the state target, surveil, and kill the people. Those Facebook memes that make you look younger, or have you next to Jason Momoa, asking ChatGPT about a recipe or help you write, are not harmless actions. With AI, human beings are the product. In exchange, we give up our privacy and security, which put our undocumented relatives at great risk. Honor the Earth is an Indigenous film-led organization with Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island and Palestine. For us, the parallels between what happened with Indigenous peoples here and what's happening under occupation of the U.S. and what our Palestinian relatives are experiencing under Israeli occupation cannot be more clear. Perhaps the best place to illustrate this is through the story of generative AI and hyperscale data centers. First, we know that both ICE and the IDF rely on Palantir to monitor and surveil human beings. They both rely on Amazon for data storage, and ICE uses Israeli spyware technology. We just found out that ICE is using an app called Mobile Fortify, which works by collecting photos and fingerprints of whomever ICE agents want to target, whether or not they're within the purview of their supposed mission. Mobile Fortify then gathers biometrics that were centralized from places like the State Department's Visa and Passport database, traveler verification services, the FBI, and other law enforcement agencies, and runs the data that ICE agents collected against it. Now, while some may argue that technology is neutral, the truth is that human beings have biases. What this means for AI is that overwhelmingly, these tools are actually being used to target Black, brown, and indigenous people. MIT already has statistics on this. Light-skinned men, there's only a 0.8% error. Dark-skinned women, 34.7%. So this means that ICE using this app leads to a lot of false positives and unreliable results for those with darker skin tones. And we already know that ICE has mistakenly arrested, kidnapped, and detained people. ICE is retrieving information from public and private databases alike, mining information that includes our exact locations, online posts, and even what we assumed are private messages. ICE is buying data from Amazon, from utility companies, and from LexisNexis. This is definitely scary and not acceptable. ICE is not only using AI to enable monitoring, but to also automate monitoring of human beings. This contributes even further to targeting errors. This consolidation of human data effectively enables the government to efficiently create dossiers on everyone, even unsuspecting, ordinary, law-abiding citizens who are just sitting at home. So while we have yet to see or experience the benefits of generative AI or hyperscale data centers, one thing is clear. AI is being used by corporations and the state to automate monitoring of the people, to expand state repression, and to centralize power into the hands of technocrats and politicians like Trump, who pushed dozens of executive orders to help generate this false demand for this technology and these facilities when he came back into office. So whether you care about the environment, the land, the water, your utility bills, or surveillance of our communities by authoritarian leaders and technocrats, it is critical that we continue the national sweep of community wins against generative AI and the hyperscale data centers that come along with it. Let's think for ourselves, let's consider future generations, and at the very least, let's stop colluding with state and ICE. You can find out more on Honor of the Earth. Niawe Wapula.
CEO, my name is Shai. I'm a coalition coordinator for Stop Data Colonialism, a national indigenous coalition dedicated to stopping the build-out of hyperscale data centers on indigenous land and all iterations of colonialism attached to the build-out of generative AI. While nuclear technology, specifically uranium refineries, haven't been in Oklahoma in decades, we still feel the effects of the disasters that those facilities have left behind. Nuclear technologies cannot be separated from extractive colonialism. The impacts are primarily felt in indigenous communities here on Turtle Island. From the 500 closed uranium mines in Navajo Nation to the tragedies of uranium refining here in Oklahoma and Cherokee Territory. Today, Representative Archer will complete his first reading of House Bill 3175 that will establish the Oklahoma Advanced Nuclear Energy Office and create the Oklahoma Advanced Nuclear Development Fund. Meanwhile, Oklahoma Corporation Commission has not completed the nuclear feasibility study to determine if nuclear technologies are feasible in Oklahoma. In fact, Oklahomans have defeated all iterations of nuclear technologies decades ago. We have proven that we do not want this. While investors in nuclear will tell you that nuclear is carbon neutral and safe, this is far from the truth. When you factor in the 500,000 tons of uranium needed to fuel 1 gigawatt large reactor, to the years and tons of material that it would take to build one nuclear facility, to the vast amounts of water needed to cool these reactors, to the aquatic life harmed by thermal water pollution, you can see this to be patently false. The current resurrection of nuclear is directly connected to the build-out of data centers that are taking precious land and water from Oklahomans, while we, the ratepayers, foot the bill for the build-out of infrastructure needed to power these facilities. Oklahoma's current infrastructure cannot sustain the energy demands needed for these facilities, so they are looking to nuclear to bridge the gap in energy. One large-scale reactor that will provide 1 gigawatt of power will take, on average, 15 years to build and will cost billions. And you can count on that bill being passed on to you. Additionally, with the passing of Oklahoma House Bill 1374 in 2025, the behind-the-meter bill that allows private industries to generate their own power and millions being invested in small modular reactor technologies, the same technologies that aren't even a reality in the United States and likely won't be a reality for years. We can foresee that if House Bill 3175 is passed, that technology giants will eventually try to use small modular reactors here to power the same hyperscale data centers that take our lands and waters. This will open up our lands and people to further risk due to neglect from extractive industries whose only concerns are for profit. Let me remind you again that Oklahomans do not want their backyards to become a sacrifice zone. Say no to nuclear now and no to nuclear forever. Find us on Instagram at Stop Data Colonialism.
Yeah, and that is the subject of the day. I mean, it really is. And for those of you who don't know, they built stuff down around Lawton, and the closed door meetings. There's a couple of people that follow them down there that's worth looking at, just so you can understand a little better. Next person up, Andy Moore and I both had different colored hair when we started out here at the Capitol. Andy Moore with Let's Fix It.
Morning, my fellow Oklahomans. It's a little chilly out here, which is okay. Sorry, thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's a little chilly out here, which is okay. Democracy doesn't usually show up when it's comfortable. It shows up early. It shows up when it's inconvenient. It shows up when you could have stayed home, but chose not to. So thank you for being here. In about an hour inside this building, we'll hear a State of the State address. We'll hear about priorities and plans and promises, and all of that's fine. That's part of the system. But what's happening here, out here, on these steps, this is also part of the system. The other side of that, this is the state of the people. And the truth is, democracy was never meant to be quiet. It was never meant to be something that you check on every 4 years like it's a smoke detector. Democracy is loud, it's messy, it's inconvenient. It requires participation from people who don't agree with each other, but still believe in each other. That's the deal we have with one another. The American experiment was built on a radical idea that ordinary people, not kings, not parties, not donors, not insiders, but ordinary people like you and I, when given a voice and some agency, could govern ourselves. Not perfectly always, but certainly better than the alternative. And from the very beginning, democracy came with tools. The right to speak, the right to assemble, the right to petition your government when it stops listening. Those aren't loopholes. Those aren't threats. Those are features. They exist because power, when left alone, will not and does not correct itself. It often has to be nudged, sometimes pushed, occasionally dragged, kicking and screaming back toward the public good. That's not a radical idea. That's basic civics. And here's the Oklahoma part of the story. Our state didn't inherit democracy. We insist on it. When the state was founded, voters demanded the power of the initiative in the referendum because we didn't trust politicians would do the right thing on their own. And history has proved them right. Over and over again, when the people of Oklahoma saw a system that wasn't fair, that wasn't working, that wasn't listening, we didn't give up. We've organized, we've gathered signatures, we've showed up, and we've changed the rules of our own government. This isn't a glitch in our system. That is our system. It always has been. Citizen advocacy isn't something we do after democracy fails. It's something we do in the beginning, all along the way. It's something we have to do to keep it from failing in the first place. And let's be honest, democracy is under a lot of stress right now. It isn't because people care too much, but rather because too many people feel like caring doesn't matter. Too many of our fellow citizens feel locked out, shut out, talked down to, or ignored altogether. When voting gets harder, not easier, when the rules change to protect power instead of participation, when the message people hear is, trust us, just not enough to give you a say, that's when democracy starts to crack. And that's why the right to vote matters. That's why the right to petition our government matters. That's why the showing up right here, right now, matters. Because democracy itself isn't self-executing. It doesn't defend itself. It's up to us to defend the democracy we have. Not as Democrats or Republicans or independents, but as neighbors. As parents who want their kids to have a fair shot. As workers who want dignity and stability. As people who believe that the dream of a better life shouldn't depend on who you know, how much money you have. The American dream, the Oklahoma dream, has never been guaranteed. It has been argued.
I'm gonna leave this.
Continue to have to vote it into existence. Every expansion of democracy in this country started with people being told to make their choice. Not now, be patient, this is the right moment. And every time, progress has come from people who said, no, the moment is now. That's why you're here today. We're not about tearing anything down necessarily, but building something better. Not about chaos, but about accountability. Not power for its own sake, but power returned to people it came from. And to our legislators who may be watching or listening or read about this in tomorrow's paper, this part really matters. This is an attack, an invitation. An invitation to remember who you work for. An invitation to trust us, the voters. An invitation to believe that participation strengthens democracy rather than weaken it. And to all of you here today, our volunteers who spent their time and energy to be outside, the ones holding signs, making calls, knocking doors, organizing rides, collecting signatures, and refusing to give up, even when the process feels stacked against you. You are not on the sidelines of history. You are here writing history. So I'll leave you with this. Democracy is not something we inherit once. It's something we choose again and again and again and again. We choose it when we vote. We choose it when we speak. We choose it when we show up on full mornings like this and say, this place belongs to all of us. And if anyone wonders what democracy looks like in Oklahoma, this is it. It sounds like your voices. It feels like your resolve. And it moves forward when you refuse to stand still. So today, I ask you, stand tall, stay loud, and keep choosing democracy. Thank you. Even more, everybody. This guy has been at this for over a decade. His patience and everything else really, truly is fantastic. Okay, we're going to talk about a place called Joseph Gitchen. How many of you have been there? It's out by the airport. Okay, so we're going to talk about homelessness and Joseph Gitchen. And the reason I do this is I'm going to give my 5-star building review.
Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
But I accidentally ended up there the first time, and they had showers and they had.
One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check, check.